Okay, people who've got issues with overhead movement after surgery or a shoulder injury, the common component is a loss of external rotation. Now, if you're one of those people who've worked on the external rotation strength, but have still got a range issue, maybe you've had frozen shoulder or surgery and you've actually lost the range, you can test that. So if you think like, why can I do that and this shoulder I can't get up? Go to a wall, have a look at one shoulder. If you're flat on the wall, can you get your hand back to 90 degrees? If you look at the one that you're having problems with and you cannot get back your hand without arching your back and doing that, so if you're flat here, that's good. This one, when you're up at 90 degrees abduction and you just simply cannot get back, you're like missing sometimes 40 degrees or 20 degrees, that's the external rotation range issue. So I've got a mobility drill for you to do, which is very similar to our internal rotation one, but it's just for external rotation range. What you're going to need is a decent power band. Okay, so something that is thick enough for you that's not going to bite into your arm too much, but not so strong that you can't actually use. You're going to, same thing, you're going to need a therotubing or theraband that is, again, got enough power, but not too strong for you, for your capability. What do? You put this on something like a pole. Now in the gym, that's pretty easy. At home, you might have to be a bit inventive and try and work out where you're going to put that. But this needs to be up at a point where it's below the shoulder height. So for me, that's sitting around about here, right? Now, the TheraBand goes to the same anchor point. So if you just think, okay, I'm putting same anchor point here, all right? This one is going to go around my shoulder. This one is in my hand. Put the shoulder one in first, okay? Now, you don't put it on the shoulder. What I mean by the shoulder is I want you putting it just off the shoulder. Because what it's doing is if this is my ball and this is my shoulder, it's sort of putting some traction backwards into that arm, all right? So if I put it on top of here, it's not doing anything changing of what the ball is doing in the shoulder. So put that off the edge there, okay? Then this one here is the one that's pulling me backwards. Now, when you do internal rotation, obviously you're focused on putting forward. For this one, we're just focusing on the drag backwards, okay? So this band also needs to be tight, all right? Because it's got to have enough power to pull me backwards. That's how I'm going to get my stretch. Now, this one is going to help assist that stretch by getting a bit of traction in the joint going backwards and downwards, so posto-inferior that way. Now, the hard part is trying to get enough tension on this band. At the moment, that's not doing anything. Okay, this one is, but this one's not. So what I'm going to have to do is lean into that. And you're going, oh, how do I do that? Come back a bit, get some body weight in there. Okay, so if I lean my body weight in there, now I've got some pressure on there. So I can just sort of hang there, if you like. This one is then free to do external rotation. Make sure, though, you get your elbow as back as far as you can to that sort of neutral position. And then maybe just sitting just below the abduction. So not sort of 90 degrees, maybe just sitting down at 80. Some people do it at 60, but I find if you're down here with all that pressure on, this tends to slip a bit. So keep it around about 80. Then what you do with the elbow at 90 degrees, let the band, the skinny band, take you backwards, okay? So you stretch it there. When you've had enough of that, pull forward to your rest period. Okay, so rest period's there. You may find that this pressure here is too much, so you go, okay, I'm going to rest between each stretch. You're trying to get a longer stretch than, say, 10 seconds. 1 minute is probably too long to have that band on, so you're going to go from between 10, maybe 30 or 40 seconds. So for this one, make sure you're leaning into it. Just to recap, bring that elbow sort of around about the 80 degrees, and then let that roll backwards. So the band is giving me the stretch. You've got to go to the point where you're sort of tolerating a little bit of stretch pain, but it's not injury pain. Okay, so be careful with that. And then just let that hang in there. And when you've had enough, either pull forward, and there's your rest period. And you might do sort of reps of that, where you go, okay, I'm going to go back again, lean into it, let it guide you back, and then when you've had enough of this band, take your body weight away from it. You've just got to be careful that you don't provide too much stretch on this joint. Remember, if you're sort of in that phase where you're recovering from a frozen shoulder, or maybe it's an impingement or surgery type pain where you're feeling quite a lot of tissue tightness in there, you can't do too hard for too long. This is just simply to help you through that phase of getting more and more external rotation naturally. So when you do your external rotation strengthening, you've got a bit more range there. So it's very important to do this perhaps before you start doing external rotation band work, so you're a little bit looser before you start getting to that. So like I said before, work out what band suits you. You may want to go down to, say, a band that is a little bit skinnier than this power band here, but like I said, if that bites in too much, you might have to go through to here. But if you're a smaller person, this might be the go. Same with this. If you don't have the strength to actually pull it forward, you'd have to go lighter on a band like that. So choose the band that suits you, but this is a great way of you trying to get more external rotation range. What you do, work on that, then retest it, go back to your wall. How close are you getting there? Okay, because the goal is obviously you want to be the same as the other side. Then you'll find once you've got your external rotation range cleared up a little bit more, this movement overhead is going to start getting better.